So I still away just a few minutes just to kind of update people since you haven't heard from me in a while. My our daughters, have done a wonderful job of relaying the information as accurately as possible. But things change on a day-to-day basis. And so I just thought it might be best if it comes directly from me so that you can hear it, just to kind of take some of the pressure off of my girls. It's very hard for me to steal away a moment by myself, truly by myself. I can go off in a little space, but I'm still never by myself. But anyway, I'm in the parking garage at the hospital. I'm about to go in, but before I get there, I just thought I'd take this time to kind of update everyone. First of all, I've learned that your life can change in an instant. I've always heard that, but I don't think I've ever experienced it to this degree. So just so everyone knows that Joe's heart condition that he had gotten almost 22 years ago, which was kind of crazy because it was a virus that attacked his heart. They don't know what exactly happened, but at that time they had only given him 3 years to live, and wow, he did incredible. He came back into normal range and was considered healthy, and enabled us to do a lot of things because they didn't see him as a risk for anything. He was on just regular manageable medications, never spent a night in the hospital. Just we've done really well, and Joe has taken care of himself super well, which is one of the reasons that they're able to take care of him here. Anyway, fast forward, his heart started to experience a decline, and most people would not have known by looking at him. In fact, he did mention it to a few people, and they kind of like, yeah, no. But yeah, we knew he had something. We knew it. And the doctors were always shocked because he was so asymptomatic of everything. Even when he got here to Duke Hospital, the first day they looked at him before his test results came back, and they were like, oh, yeah, you're going to be fine. We'll just tweak your medications, that kind of thing. And anyway, the next day his test all came back, and they were like, sir, you're one of our sickest patients. We had no idea. We spoke too soon. And then the process for the heart transplant began, which is a whole long process. I won't bore you with all the details, but the point is that Joe cannot survive without a heart transplant. And he's still talking and breathing and joking and eating and all those things. So you can be sure that, he's still Joe. He is on a life support, not what I always pictured in my mind in the movies of life support. His heart doesn't work anymore, so he has a machine that is attached to him and into his heart, a computer that pumps the blood for him, and that's what's keeping him alive. They said he wouldn't have made it another day had they not put that in him, which just blows both of our minds. And now we wait on a heart, but in the process of waiting on a heart, the perfect match, he cannot leave. Unlike some people who are going to have heart transplants, maybe they have to lose weight or they have to meet a certain criteria before they do. He can't leave the hospital. He can't survive outside the hospital because of being on life support. He's probably got 50 cords and tubes attached to him. I dreamed about snakes last night, and I think that's the reason I dreamed about snakes, not because of painting, but because of all the lines that are attached to him, and it's just like a nightmare, that part. But anyway, the nurses do an incredible job with moving him and detangling and keeping him attached to everything. But we did have a major scare last Wednesday, and some people have heard about this. So let me just explain exactly what happened. I had just left to go take a break for the evening. Joe had sent me back to the place that I'm staying, which that's another story, wonderful story. Someone graciously opened their home to me, and I've been staying there with her, and it's just a blessing. But I had just went home, and it was within 30 minutes of me leaving and getting home that I got the phone call that Joe had flatlined, and they had to use the paddles 5 times to shock his heart, and they intubated him and put him in a coma state. So of course I had to come right back to the hospital, which I'm only 3.5 miles from, fortunately. And I mean, literally that day he had done the walk with all the machines. They have him walk to keep him strong for the surgery whenever the heart comes in. He had walked 5 times. They're just like blown away by how much he does and how strong he is, despite the fact he has no heart that's keeping him going. But he had we got his guitar. Our best friend brought him one of his guitars, and he played guitar that afternoon. He had eaten, everything was good, and then that happened. Because it's so fragile. The doctor said his heart is a Fabergé egg. So when I got back there to see him laying there completely unconscious, not knowing whether he can hear me, he couldn't talk to me, having the tubes down his throat, and breathing for him, and that was the scariest moment of my life. Anyway, our kids came up the next day to be with me and to support me during that time, so that was a real blessing. So I don't want anybody to be concerned with me. I am being taken care of too. So for those of you who know me and you think I'm weak in some way, I'm being very well supported. It's Joe right now that we would need to take care of, because he looks stronger and talks strong, but that's the part that's hard. Anyway, they tried to bring him, they don't want him to stay in that state because he needs to receive a heart, and they can't put a heart in somebody who is too weak to stand the surgery, or who may have an underlying disease or some other condition. So they needed to get him back out of that as soon as possible. So they tried that next day, and he ended up aspirating, which caused an infection. He quickly got over the infection and caused a type of pneumonia. But he recovered from that. The fevers and everything went away. Infectious disease people come in. I mean, literally, there's always 10 doctors in a room. So, in his room, it's crazy. And they're constantly coming and going and talking to us. And anyway, he didn't get to come out that next day. So then the following morning, that Friday morning, because this happened on a Wednesday when originally. So that Friday morning, they managed to wake him up slowly. So he still had that in his mouth. He hated that. It was not what he wanted. But he was a very good patient. He has been a very good patient. I don't think I could deal like he has been, but he is just extremely good patient with them. Whatever they ask him to do, he does. And I think they like him a lot. But anyway, they managed to pull him out of it. About an hour later, they had him walk in the halls, and they were so happy that they could get him doing that, and shocked that he could do that. Explaining that whole process, you know, a lot of people, I guess, kind of misunderstood that, oh, he's getting better. He doesn't get better until he gets a new heart. So just so everybody understands that. He's not going to get better, somehow improve, and now he doesn't need a heart. His heart doesn't work anymore. So there's no getting better. We're just glad he didn't, that he came out of that comatose state, being, you know, intubated. We're glad that part's over, but there's still the danger of it happening again. And 2 nights ago, he went into AFib, and they've been working with him. He's still in AFib, and they've been working with him to try and get that normalized again, because if they can't, they could end up having to shock him again and intubate him again. So we're always at that risk, and we don't want to be there. They want to just keep him as healthy as possible so that the heart can come, the perfect heart can come in. They are working 24/7 to find a heart. The calming, nice thing that I appreciate about that, that's been explained to us, because all I know is what's in the movies, and what's in the movies is not what's really happening. The whole heart transplant things I've seen on the movies, you know, which I will never be able to watch any of those movies again. I could name them for you, you know, Beaches, John Q, Untamed Heart, you know, yeah, there's another one I can't think of the name of that I always loved. Return to Me. Yeah, those are, yeah, never watched them again, and they were some of my favorites. Anyway, they did explain that offers are made. So they will be, they have repeated offers for Joe through the organization called UNOS, which is who you get listed with. And so when a heart becomes available, a donor becomes, you know, who's listed becomes available, they immediately let the hospitals and doctors know who've put the request out for Joe, well, because he's on the list, and they say, this could be a match, this could be a match, this could be a match. And then these doctors examine what that situation is with that heart to see if it's a perfect match. The perfect match is not just blood type, because all your organs have to be typed according to your blood, even if it's a bloodless type surgery. You also have to match male to male, female to female. So if you're a male, you have to have a male heart. If you're a female, you have to have a female heart. It does not work well the other way. Your size and stature is very, very important. Joe has what's considered an athletic build because he's very muscular. He has lost a lot of weight. That was another little positive thing on this, because turns out the weight that Joe was trying to get off for the last 2 years, it wasn't coming off, and he couldn't figure out why, because he eats basically, you know, a pescatarian diet. He eats very, very well. He exercises like crazy. You know, I mean, literally 3 times a week, goes to the gym. He's always done that. Well, it turns out that was all fluid from his congestive heart failure, where most people carry it in their ankles and feet when they have this condition. His looked like love handles. And when they started draining the fluid off of it, they told him, they said, no, that's not your weight. That's fluid in your love handles. And you watched it just come down. And so he's lost, I don't know, like 30 pounds. And they said this is actually his size. His muscles are super strong, and all of his organs are strong, and that's the way we want to keep it. So anyway, we're here. We're going to be here until a heart comes in. It could be any day, any moment. And so we're hoping it's today. That would be great. If it's not, maybe it'll be tonight or tomorrow, but one of the main surgeons actually sent his family on vacation and stayed back because he felt confident that one was going to be coming in any moment. So That's where we're at right now. In the meantime, my daughters have the accurate information. They are the ones to find out stuff from. I just don't like them to be overwhelmed either. And if you've texted me or called me and I haven't responded, I apologize. I get the text. Sometimes I get the phone calls, sometimes I don't. It depends. If I see one and you leave a message or something, I may not get a chance. My mind is going 100 miles a minute. It's very hard, and I can't respond the majority of the time. But I will tell you when I've gotten text or instant messages or, you know, Facebook messages, WhatsApp messages, and I can read them and see them, it's like warm hugs to me. So I do greatly appreciate that. Same thing for Joe. He doesn't always have his phone at the ready, but if I've got his phone, I will make sure he gets those messages too. We've gotten lots of cards. We've gotten lots of support from people we haven't heard from in years and people we have never heard from. The monetary support is greatly appreciated too. I mean, we're not working. I mean, I'm trying to do the best I can painting. Joe's not going to be able to work for quite a while because that's a whole nother process once we get back. And the hospital is, you know, has encouraged us to do fundraising as much as possible. So, but it's just hard to think about all that stuff right now. So anything that people do to help us, we don't turn away anybody's offer. In the past, we probably would have, but now it's like, well, in the words of one of my dear friends, heart transplant trumps everything. So no matter what else is going on in my head, you know, it's a heart transplant. And I know that, and Joe knows that. And so whenever people offer to help me, I'm accepting any kind of help because I can't do this by myself. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I miss all my friends. And Joe does too. And our family, grandkids. But once he gets the heart, and they want to put a young athletic person's heart in him. So that's really what they're looking for, because they were like, this guy's got way too much life left in him. And for those of you that know it, he does. And he's very determined to do this, which is probably why he has survived and done as well as he has. So anyway, I will let that be my last words because I got to get into the hospital now. So thank you for listening, and thank you for everything and all the prayers. Most important, all the prayers. Thank you.